Welcome to this walkthrough of a simple spreadsheet program that we're going to use to investigate some of the economic considerations for prioritizing projects. We're going to use the cost of delay number, something we've talked about before. I invite you to spend some time acquainting yourself with that if you haven't already done so. Here we have three projects, Project A, Project B, Project C, that have arrived for prioritization in this particular sequence. And we already have some estimates as to the cost of delay for each of these projects. Project A, we're estimating to be $100,000 per month. Project B, we're estimating to be $120,000 per month. And Project C, we're estimating to be $105,000 per month. These are not unusual numbers at all. In fact, we see numbers quite larger than this frequently. Now, these projects are all going to be approached using some scarce resources. And isn't that always the case, that we frequently have more to do than we have time and money? So we have two distinct ways of approaching this. One is to do them in parallel with a portion of effort ascribed to each one amongst our resources and our people who will be working on it. The other is to approach this sequentially, to start and complete one project and then start and complete the next and finally the third. And we're going to show a subtle variation on that last piece by resequencing those projects, presuming that these have all arrived at more or less the same time, and we're able to do that to see if there is a better way to sequence them than simply in the order in which they arrived. So let's begin by estimating the months of effort. Now, these are broad estimates, but we're going to start talking in terms of, and because this is Agile, we're going to start talking in terms that are fairly short. We think Project A is 10 months of effort. We think Project B is about 10, and we think Project C is about 6. And what we've done over here in the focus column, as you can see, is we are going to approach these projects simultaneously, where we're going to spend about 30% of our resources, our people's time, on Project A over the course of 7 months. We're going to spend 35% of their efforts, their time, on Project B and 35% on Project C. Now, when we've given the estimates, we worked on this being the months of effort for a dedicated effort. And so now with this split focus, we see the elapsed months blowing out to much longer time frames. And this is so often the case. And what we can see is a simple calculation of the cost of delay shows that we have a number of about $7.5 million. Now, to remind you again, cost of delay is the value that a company would be able to recognize if we had these three projects complete right now. So what this means is that over the course of this time, we're giving up this $7.5 million. But of course, when I say we're giving it up, we haven't had the opportunity to complete these projects. So the goal clearly is to make this cost of delay as small as possible. Now let's see what happens if we sequence these projects. Again, Project A we're suggesting is about 7 months of concentrated effort. Project B is 10. Project C is 6, same as before. And we see that the cost of delay now accruing is just over 5 million, 5.155 million. A savings of $2.4 million simply because we focused on working on the the project sequentially so that we get value soon as a project is complete. There's really very little reason to split our efforts among multiple projects and ergo recognizing the value much later in the future than in fact bringing the efforts forward, completing those projects, recognizing the value, move on to the next project, recognize the value from that. And as we can see, this is a significant sum of money. Now, what if we were to apply a formula, a way to prioritize these. So let's begin by, again, putting in the effort we believe we're going to have to spend on each one of these projects. And let's apply a formula known as cost of delay divided by duration, frequently short-formed as CD3. This is a way to apply a general approach known as weighted shortest job first. And I have a little button here which will apply a resequencing, and it resequences quite simply by saying, well, we should start with project C first, and then proceed to project A, and then finally to project B. If we're to do those things, we'd see the cost of delay would be $4.69 million. So again, a savings of $450,000 or thereabouts, a significant sum of money simply by doing these in a different sequence. If we find, of course, that some of these numbers change, lest you believe that some of these numbers may change based upon the cost of delay, you're absolutely right, because that's a part of the formula. If project A was in fact worth $115,000 in terms of cost of delay each month, then if we resequence these, in this particular case, nothing changed, but the cost of delay did change when we recalculated that. And then we'll see that if in fact this was similarly priced out at $125,000 and do it that particular way, we'd see that project A now rises to the top, project C moves to second, and project B begins the last. And though the savings are less consequential, they're only $330,000, they're still significant. And the point to take away from this, of course, is the significant difference between doing projects in a sequential fashion over running them in parallel. Thank you for your time.